What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be finally taking a look at Holomento. This is a game that came out like a year ago, and I initially put it on the shelf because I felt like it wasn't ready to be shown off. But ultimately, it's been about a year now, and I've been playing all morning. I've put about 3 hours into the game this morning. And I think it's time. Like, even if the game isn't ready, at a certain point, I think a game needs to stand on its own 2 feet. And it needs to stand up to criticism, and it needs to stand up to just, like, observations. And so it's time to stop putting it off. Today is the day. Holomento. What is Holomento? Tough one. That's a very difficult question to answer. As you no doubt seen from the title up above, I've got it probably tagged as something like an open-world action RPG. It is and it isn't. Like, this is a game that's a really hard game to get the finger on the pulse of, but the closest thing I could probably describe it as is Risk of Rain 2 if Risk of Rain 2 was an open world game, but also was kind of influenced by Diablo and also kind of influenced by Dark Souls and influenced by, like, I don't know, like Miyazaki with, like, the music and whatnot. It's an odd game. It's got a lot of things going on, and I'm not necessarily sure that all the stitching blends in right in the finalized product, or that it all comes together into something immensely coherent, but it does come together into something interesting from my observation. And so we're going to dive on in here today for about 30 or 40 minutes and see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list or otherwise pass on. I will absolutely have a set of things that I've noticed about the game towards its quality at the end of the video. Hopefully somebody will timestamp that for you, but let's go ahead and dive on in. So this is Holomento. It's actually a really pretty game. One of the first things that struck me about this title is that this is a game that is utilizing minimalism to a very great effect visually. This is a game that as you wander through the game world, it feels like a place full of whimsy and wonder. It feels like a place that you want to explore, and luckily enough for you, the game is basically going to give you zero guidance as to what the hell it is you're supposed to be doing at any given moment, and so wander you shall, and wander I have for the last 2 or 3 hours. The good news here is, if you've played Risk of Rain 2, this game heavily borrows from Risk of Rain 2 in the way that its combat works, and in the, oh no, I fell off a cliff. There's no jump in this game as far as I know. I don't think there's a way to jump. But this game, its combat is very much inspired by Risk of Rain 2, which means that you're not really going to notice the fact that you're kind of aimless and don't know what to do next, because you're going to be churning through monsters and finding treasure and finding new upgrades and things like that all along the way. And so it's not really going to be that upsetting of an experience. Oh my god, it's a giant wolf. Okay, I'll go ahead and stab you guys up. Sure, why not? In this game, you will have melee attacks, and you will have ranged attacks. There's also a bunch of bees that spawned. If you hold down right-click, it puts you into aim mode, and pretty much every single weapon in this game has a long-range attack, whether it be a gun or whether it be a sword. It's still going to have a long-range attack that you can deploy. My character right now has been built to mostly focus on heavily spamming, I suppose, my ranged attack. You have equipment in this game. It stacks infinitely as far as I can tell. I'm going to be really honest with you. I didn't play the tutorial to this game. I just kind of dove right in and played for like 3 hours. And so some of my observations may be slightly off here. Listen, man, I'm going to need you to not tentacle me right now, okay? I'm going to need you to relax with the tentacalization. I don't know if that's a word, but unlock the woodcutter's axe. Okay, so this allows me to increase his wood resource collection. Sounds good. If you're wondering why I'm picking up crafting materials, it's because at some point in the game, it's also a city builder. You get to use your materials that you find while adventuring to build up a city. Alas, I have not liberated the city yet from the hordes of monsters that are currently stalking its halls. So we don't have a city to build yet, but I have begun gathering the materials to fix said city. I just haven't quite gotten there yet, and that's where we're ultimately going to spend our money. That bug that's following me around, that's an item that I found while I was cruising. You can see that just like in Risk of Rain, as you pick up items, they get added to your character. So that armband right there is for this little 2 ability that I have that puts up like a force shield around me, and the scroll on my back is for the fireball that I shoot default if I don't have a weapon. The axe increases the amount of my wood yield when I'm chopping trees. That kind of stuff. The bug. The book is part of the narrative storyline, so apparently this is like a closed universe where you can't get in and you can't get out. And if an outsider comes here, they get followed by a black book, and that black book makes it so they can never leave, and it like chronicles all the stuff that they've done during their journey until they die, and like a successor can be chosen. There's a whole bunch of skeletons over there. I don't know if that shot was far enough. I gotta get these skeletons though. There we go. I'll put a little bit of a scuffing on him. Oh, that guy's got to go too. Did he just duck all my attacks? He must have. Oh, we got Big Skelly. Let's deal with him first. Big Skelly, I'm gonna shoot you in the butt. It's a song that I'm working on. It's called Big Skelly, parentheses, gonna shoot you, close parentheses, another parentheses, bracket, in the butt, close bracket. That's the single that I'm working on. I've found that successful people always have like subtexts and sort of like post-scriptums on their song names, and I want to be like them. I've been struck by an explosive arrow and I'm offended. I will Naruto run to the source of this Bolai defamation and I will destroy him. Don't you worry, buddy. Oh, there's no way up. That's upsetting. This game has like a lot of verticality, but you're not allowed to like interact with that verticality in any meaningful way. It kind of bothers me, actually. Like, this game really likes scene setting, and they really like putting archers and enemies way up on towers and like on top of things to attack you, but pretty often you don't really have a way to get up there ever, even though it seems like, because there's no jump or anything. You just have like a dodge roll and you just have like a sprint. I think this is the manor. So in the storyline, they said that all the townsfolk, if I wanted to unlock the town, are inside this manor, but they're surrounded by monsters. So I'm pretty sure that I just resolved the issue, but I don't really know. The old museum is locked up tight. Oh, they said that the townsfolk were inside the old manor, not the old museum. I may have just spent like the last 45 minutes clearing to this place and wiping out every monster that even raised an eyebrow at me for no reason whatsoever. But as I was mentioning earlier, you do have an inventory. You pick up basically an endless amount of items. The game does have like meta progression, and it does have other characters. Right now I'm playing as the default character, which is like a wizard, and during my couple hours of playing the game, I played for like an hour, and then I reset my game, and then I jumped on into this one, and then there was like 30 minutes of holdover from when the game first came out, if you're wondering about the timer at the bottom of the screen. Don't know what the green meter is at the bottom of the screen. Never quite derived that from in-game context. The enemies, they take kind of a loosey-goosey, as you saw from that skeleton right there, they take kind of a loosey-goosey approach to collision and like where they are and aren't allowed to go. You will frequently see them just kind of like phase through walls to get to you. It is what it is. Like, it's one of those things that should definitely be cleaned up with the pathfinding and made to look a little bit better. There's a poleaxe right here, but it's a crappy poleaxe. It actually kind of looks like it does everything better than what I do right now. So stat changes in totalities that our damage will go up, both ranged and physical. Our attack speed will go down. It looks like our range will get better on melee, but worse on attack. And I don't know what the little explosion is. It might be AoE or something. I mean, I've already played around with the pole hammer. I don't really care that much about it. Now, the open world designation to this game is kind of up in the air, I guess. It's kind of open world-y in the respect that you can kind of like explore it and do things in your own order. So if Dark Souls counts as an open world game, then this game counts as an open world game, is the way that I'll put it. This game is largely comprised of like corridors that you run down while fighting various monsters, and there are branches in the path that go different places and to different zones. It will occasionally open up and give you access to kind of like a free-roaming meadow-style area or like a valley or something, but for the most part, it's corridors, and you can explore in whatever direction you want. open world style as long as it's on those corridors, I guess. So this game is kind of like inchoate as to whether or not it's an open world game. It's kind of open world tangential, I would guess. If it's not open world, it's very much on the fringe of almost open world. It does not give you any guidance. You should expect going into this game that you're not really going to know what you're doing like most of the time in terms of like what you should be doing right now and where you should be going. I have found that the best solution to that problem is just to keep exploring and wandering around, and eventually you will bump into that thing that you were supposed to find in order to like advance the game along. But as far as I know right now, I'm supposed to be tracking down townsfolk. That's my best guess. And so hopefully we will find them by the end of this video so that we can show off the base building portion of the game where you get to like upgrade cities and have shops built and stuff like that so that you can increase the amount of items that you have. This is a zone transition, the Evenfall Cistern. Deep beneath Evenfall in the Eventide Chateau lies a dank sewer home to the rats and their leader, the Rat King. Okay, yeah, sure, let's go after it. Wow, this really, you know, hold on. From the outside, I feel like this place is really sort of like a realtor's little secret. Like, you go back out to the outside, and it doesn't seem like there's maybe... Well, actually, it kind of does, I guess. I didn't see that upper part right there. I was going to say, this place has a deceitfully large amount of square footage. Like, you walk in the front door, seems like it's going to be like 1,200 square feet tops. Then you find out that this is actually like a mansion inside of here. Let's have a look around. We'll see what we can rummage for. Key fragment. I found some key fragments scattered in the cistern. I'm not sure what they do. It seems they weren't the only ones, though. I reckon they opened that big, scary-looking door. I'm too afraid to open it. A friendly fellow traveler. Well, thank you for leaving me your note. Travelers in this game are people that have accidentally ended up in this area, even though they're outsiders. So they're people like me that have a giant floating book following them. Is this water gonna drown me? It was so hard to tell. How tough are you? Not that tough, actually. Goes down pretty quick. He dropped the bow. The game really wants me to use a bow. It wants it very, very badly. It looks like Skelly's Aggravation, a worn-out longbow. The fact that it hasn't already broken is amazing. How are these darn Skellys so accurate with this thing? They do attempt to tag me every now and again. I do wish you could kind of like scrap stuff for like money and XP or something. The money in this game doesn't level up your character individually. It levels up your equipment. So what you can see from where I'm sitting right now is that the vast majority of my equipment is level 3 or level 4. Every time your equipment levels up, it gets stronger. You unlock new characters in this game, so let's say that you're like tired of playing as the wizard. There are like gunslingers and other characters that unlock. I haven't figured out exactly... I haven't figured out exactly how to unlock them yet. It says complete a journey, which I'm guessing is like a dungeon or like a large quest or something like that, but in the hour and a half, 2 hours that I've been playing here. Have not had one offered, so don't know. We'll figure it out. Is that a gun? Oh, it's a key fragment. Okay. Well, now I have a key fragment. Somebody said something about a big door in here, but I don't see a big door. I love those god rays that they've got coming in through that hole right there. You can definitely tell that this kind of stuff is a new addition, but honestly, visually, I think the game is actively on point. Movement feels pretty good of your character as well. I've liked the way that the character handles. The downside here is that melee attacks are very wispy, both giving and receiving. They don't feel like they have a lot of weight or impact to them. In fact, like non-existent amounts of weight and impact to them. And then also the hitboxes are like deceitfully inconsistent in this game, strangely in favor of the player. I tested it out against a bunch of mobs where I just stood in the middle of them, and they were all just spamming attacks on me, and very, very few of the attacks actively seemed to count, which was kind of like the weird part. Like there was maybe it was giving me iframes after each hit or something, but there was no visual indicator of that. And so at a certain point, it was like I had a bunch of enemies around me just swinging weapons that were phasing through me, and like maybe 1 in 5 or maybe 1 in 6 swings were actually like lowering my health. And when it did lower my health, my character wasn't like, goof, and like didn't stumble or anything. It was just like the meter went down. So that's all stuff that's gonna need to be seen to in order to get my vote of approval there. Strike one. There is no secret behind the waterfall. I feel like it's a divine mandate from the universe that if you have a video game that has waterfalls in it, every single waterfall should have something behind it. Even if it's just like an acorn or like a joke or like satire. Corrupted candles. The candle of the darkly devoted. Candles of those that follow cool draw. Go and happily spread death for the fair lady. They increase your damage dealt. It also looks super cool. I cannot tell you how dope it is that I have candles levitating around me right now. That's like everything I've ever aspired to be in real life. In one, did I complete the key? I think I may have completed the key. It looks like it's on my back right now. So I think we may need to find... Nope, there's another piece over here I didn't get. Oh, God, my leggies! Oh, my God. Okay, yep, hated every moment of that. That was the worst. Ah, the Rat King's Arena. That would be the giant door that I think everyone was talking about. Do I actually have all the pieces and parts? I don't know that I do, but I'm going to kill a few more monsters because it makes me feel better about myself. There's also treasures and things laying around that I feel like we're going to need, especially since they gave me those candles that just like flatly raised my damage by a ton. Oh, this guy's got a chin on him. Wow, that guy's pretty strong. Okay. So what's got you feeling all strong and motivated? Whoa, okay. All right, fair enough. I do think that you get iframes during the dodge. I think this because there was a really cool enemy that you may not get to see during this video. It's like a 200-foot tall skeleton that has an entire castle tower on its back as a backpack, and the castle tower is full of skeleton archers that are shooting at you, and he does like this breath death ray from time to time. Yeah, I think this guy's just block spamming. That's why it's taking so long to knock him down. I'm not sure what our option is here. Maybe melee? I don't know. Ow, that hurt. Okay. Yep, struck me in the face. Hate it. I'm going to try and go for his shins. The shins appear to be actually working. I'm hitting harder when I go for his shins. There you go, chat. If in life you don't succeed, attack the enemy again much more viciously about his bony surfaces. That'll solve the problem up nicely. Really liking the environmental design of this cave. Like, it really hides the fact that you're on a corridor. It does a really good job of hiding the fact that you're kind of like on rails a little bit. It's just like a number of branching paths and cul-de-sacs effectively. But the actual sheer enormity of the area vertically kind of, I guess, obfuscates that a bit and makes it feel a little bit more open than it actually is. I think we only had to get some of the parts. Is there anything behind this one? I gotta check, man. I gotta check. Hey, there's a stone quarry over here, too. I may not need the stone right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and grab the stone. For the sake of all of your OCDs, I did check every single waterfall. I don't think any of them had a secret behind it. So we are waterfallless right now. My thoughts are I'm probably going to need this stone for later when it comes to rebuilding the city. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it. The game's got like this weird way, like there's a lot of things that are kind of like wrong with this game that like don't feel great or aren't working quite well. Yet I feel like it locks down its world design and it locks down its exploration. And the combat is just functional enough that it hits kind of like this Elix stride where the jank is there. Like, this is definitely a game with a lot of jank. Like, I've used the unstuck button more times than I'd like to admit that's here in the options. But that having been said, I'm still playing it, and I'm still going, like, the next zone over just to see what I'll find. Because, like, a lot of the monster design and stuff is really cool, even though the underpinning systems like collision and attack and defense and whatnot are all pretty ramshackle. It's an odd game. That's what I said straight from the beginning, is that this is a really difficult game to put a finger on the pulse of because, like, objectively, there are things wrong with it. And it feels very rough and very asset-y in some spots. And yet there are also, like, these magical moments, like when you're fighting a 200-foot tall skeleton that's shooting death lasers at you, and you're Naruto running around while spamming your own fireball blades at him. That, like, also kind of carries and is kind of interesting and compelling. And, like, I kind of like a lot of the items that I've found, like the beetle that shoots lasers at my enemies and you know, the fact that my character keeps getting more sophisticated and interesting looking as I pick up more items and has like more bumps and hooks and knobs on them. I don't know, very odd title. I want to get on top of that bridge right there. Oh, maybe I can't. Oh, no, I can. I can. Okay, so we're going to go over here and just grab all those treasures. It looks like there's a path that goes all the way up the side over there, like independent of the boss arena. I think we've got to make a decision as to whether or not we want to fight the boss, or do we want to go all the way to the top of the mountain and see what's up there? I kind of want to go and see what's up there. I don't know if this is the location from whence I'm going to be able to do it, though. What did we get? Worn out magic gloves. Oh, those are what the wizard spawns in with. They let you throw like a little fireball. It's like the fireball you would expect from every RPG ever. It's what you start out with. I opted to go with the katana and the wakizashi because that's just dope. Like, that's just cool. Like, there is no universe in which dual-wielding a katana and a wakizashi like Miyamoto is not dope, dude. That is just an eternally dope concept. There we go. Knock him out. Grab some money from the urn. You may notice that I have a very large stack of cash right now. I don't really know what to do with it. I found a couple of shops like in the beginning baby adventurer area, and I mostly like bought all the stuff that I wanted from them because money kind of flows freely in this title. Haven't seen a shop since. I'm guessing they'll show up once we've rebuilt the town that we were wandering through at the beginning of the video. But once again, hard to say. This is one of those games that doesn't really telegraph its punches at all. You never know what's going to happen next. I thought it was like a serious Dark Souls adventure, and then bam, Catgirls. You know what I mean? Like, this game is all over the place. It is constantly every time you get comfortable, it throws you a curveball. And you're just like, well, damn. Grab a little bit of wood right there. He's firing arrows at me. I don't care about that. I'm going all the way up the mountain. I mean, we've gone quite a ways already. I don't know that we're quite there yet, but we're trying real hard. I'm going to brighten this up in post. I was looking at my... So I'm sitting here looking at my OBS output, and it looks very dark to me. Hopefully I remember to brighten it up in post. I'll put this... I like to scan through all my dialogue and make sure I didn't say anything, like, malignantly stupid on any given video. Moderately stupid, I'm okay with, but if I say something that exceeds the boundaries of malignantly stupid, that's when I'm just like, oof, okay, we gotta edit that real quick. Edit that up a little bit. What is this? Oh, there was like a key fragment hidden up here. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't feel like I've gone all the way over here yet. Like, so what this game likes to do is when you die in this game, it is permadeath. So this character, when his HP hits 0, he is dead. And you start over from the beginning of the game, having unlocked new characters, having unlocked new items that can come up like in the chest rotation, so on and so forth. But this game is permadeath. However, the game is designed in a lot of ways like Dark Souls or like Elden Ring, where as you play through areas, you are going to unlock paths that allow you to get from the beginning of the game to like the middle of the game much more rapidly. So like this guy right here is more than likely one of those paths. Looking down that way, let's go ahead and push the button and see where this takes us. Yeah, so pushing the button, this brought us down and over to like a little treasure area and a whole bunch of enemies. Perfectly acceptable by me. They really got to work on the melee impact of attacks. I think that's like paramount. The melee's just gotta feel better. It's gotta feel weightier too. But yeah, it looks like this just took us back to the floor here. Hopefully it didn't go back up because I still want to explore that area. Oh no, I've been up, but there's a treasure. There's money right there. Well, let's just continue down this way and kind of see what happens. I'm guessing there's going to be a door down here that sort of like unlocks a path. I don't know what's up with these mobs, but they don't seem to be that aware of me. Like, I think they might be messed up by their pathfinding. The archers seem to be doing okay. But the little melee guys are not bum rushing me as they normally do. Sir? Oh, he's aware of me now. I guess maybe they've got some kind of line of sight or something. I don't want to get hit by that trap. That would suck. Here, you guys just taste the power of my crescent lasers. Little set of stairs right there. Now I can already see the comments. Didn't know what those blue things were. I think they're what my bug is shooting. I can see your comments asking me to ride the zip line. Because obviously we're going to do like a circa 1990s skateboarding Tarzan sequence on a vine over here. So let me run back up the mountain and we'll see what that looks like too. Alright, this is what video making looks like. It's ugly. It's not pretty. You're going to make a lot of edits. You're going to run back and forth playing the same section 25 times. That's the job, but here you go. Oh god. Okay, yeah, there's like a mini game that I've got to play to stay on the rail, and there is fall damage in this game, so like, I am deeply that's a... Oh, you get XP for surfing on it effectively. Gotcha. So you can't like fall off the rail. All you can really do is miss out on getting like a tiny, paltry amount of free XP. That's fine. I don't mind that too much. We got to do our surfing sequence. You guys got to see what that looks like. That minigame was... I think the minigame could be tighter. It felt very loosey-goosey to me. But that's like... That's this entire game, chat. That's this entire game. Like, you've got really appealing aspects in here, like the exploration and the world design, and then everything else has like that candy coating layer of jank that you just have to kind of like deal with. Like, this is one of those games that like they threw every idea in a blender. Like, there's a Tony Hawk grinding a rail minigame, you know what I mean, in the middle of the medieval fantasy open world action RPG. And it's like wonky, but they took the time to put it in there for some reason. And that's kind of what's odd about this game, is that I think it sort of embodies that old feeling of indies from like 2012 that I liked, where they were just like a wild card of ideas and you never knew what was going to happen. Nowadays, I feel like everything has been very genreificated. I don't know. Everything has been sorted into bins, and all of those bins have the same references. What is that? The triple vision. Oh, yeah. We definitely need that. That's what's up. Okay, yep. I'm glad we decided to explore this area now. The exploration hath paid off with triple projectiles. It's you again, huh? Well, last time I had a lot of success hitting you in the shins. So I'm going to deploy that exact same strategy here and now. And then I'm going to teleport around behind you. And if you could just like die for me, baby, that would be great. Just a little bit of death and misery, baby. I mean, the death and misery took a while to get here, all right? It took us a little bit to accomplish that. Oh, nice, dude. Apparently my Tachi and Tonto have turned into something new. Every time your weapon evolves, it looks different, and then it also gets a new name. And you mark them out inside of your collections list for items and weapons. So, like, you'll pick up a rusty shotgun, for example, at the beginning of the game. And each time it levels up, it'll get a new name. It'll get, like, new attributes. It'll get more damage. It'll get, like, a new appearance. So look at my swords now. You see what I mean? Like, there are little details. And like I said, dude, this game is such a mixed bag. This is going to be a really, really hard one to do my closing thoughts on. Like, I'm going to have to sit there and rough draft it like crazy just to get my thoughts across, because it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back with this game. But that's like kind of too negative, you know? Like, it's an odd game like that. It's very, very rare that I come across a game like this one where it's a tough one to call, just because I think the area of interest for this game is going to be really niche. It's kind of like Mech Engineers in that regard. Oh, yeah, that's a Rat King, all right. Oh, no, 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 no. I don't want him to... Oh, my God. Yeah, I don't like what's happening right now. I fear for my safety. Is he gonna, like, do an attack? Well, he hasn't attacked or anything yet. And it looks like I can just, like, run up underneath his rat nuts and just, like, pelt him. Where did he go? What's he doing? Bro, you're too big to hide. Like, part of me is just like, I feel bad for you, son. Oh, he's gonna summon lots of little rats. Okay, we're gonna blow them up. Doesn't look like I can damage him during this phase. It's an immunity phase. Ow, you bit me. Oh good, there's rocks falling now. I just kind of have to hope that I don't get smushed here. Yeah, you see what I mean? He didn't hit me with any of that, and I really feel like I probably should have got hit by some of that. That was a pretty cool animation when he died, though. I enjoyed it. Dude, do I have, like, different eyes now? I have, like, laser eyes. Did my hood level up or something? Huh. Like, things are constantly changing about how my character looks. And so, like, I'm always going through trying to figure out exactly what it is. So, like, what did that do for me? Did I rescue some townsfolk or something? I don't think I rescued townsfolk. Oh, no, dude, I was spamming to pick up wood and something... What did I just pick up? It's an energy gem. You get it after defeating the Rat King in the sewers below Evenfall. Huh. Okay. What's in the treasure chest? Do I get like a rat-themed hat or something? I do. The Rat King's crown jewels. I got a little crown right there, dude. I got like a little baller crown on. So let's get into the thoughts portion of the video, because I think we're getting a little bit, the video's getting a little bit long here, and I want to get to the impressions part from my couple of hours with the game. So Holomento is kind of an odd title, as previously mentioned. I said it ad nauseum because this is one of the weirder games that I've played over my career. It does so many things that it's difficult to appraise all of the mechanics individually. And after a couple hours of playing, I'm not even quite sure that I've seen all the mechanics that it has to offer, which means that any impressions I give may be on an unfair foundation that is resolved later on and makes me look stupid. But I'm going to do my best to give you a rough shot here, because why are we here if I'm not going to do my impressions? I'm going to start with the things that Holomento does really well, and I think it leans into those things. That I think this game knows its strengths, and it leans into them very heavily, which is why I'm having such a hard time calling ball or strike with this thing. The soundtrack is utterly fantastic. It dances around playfully in your ears. It's got this sort of Miyazaki energy that works really well with the enchanted, lush, saturated, and scene-diverse world. You're gonna adventure in snow, in ruins, in autumn forests, in dank underground caves. There's airships, there's castles. It's all gonna look great. The environmental design of this game, I think, is quite good. Most of the adventuring you're going to be doing, as mentioned, is going to be in corridors that have sporadic secrets every 5 to 10 minutes or so, but the game's environmental design is done well enough that you will absolutely forget that you're at least partially on corridor rails for a lot of the zones, which I think speaks to the game's environmental design highly. I would have preferred to see them use the world's verticality a little bit more. So like jumping, flying, you know, hook shots, that kind of stuff. But I get it. This is already a game that I think the scale has kind of like outrun its breadth. And so you got to stop the scale. You got to stop the snowballing of scale somewhere. This to me was a really fun game for exploration, if that's your thing. There are entire zones dedicated to being one giant puzzle that you will murder monsters through. There's exploratory areas with keys. There's something hidden absolutely everywhere, and I even found a fishing minigame that they hid in the corner of one of the maps. Like, there's even a fishing minigame. I like the way your weapons level up, and I like the way they change form and graphics periodically, as well as the way they boost in damage and function, and they get new names and things of that nature. That's very unique and fun. The downside here is that all of the weapons, they have kind of the same shooting pattern. They all kind of do the same thing. I would love to see the bullet types diversified, because in the first few hours of playing the game, pretty much everything that I've played with seems to be a lightly parabolic sort of grenade launcher feel, whether it's a bow, or whether it's a gun, or whether it's a rocket launcher, or a fireball spell. It all kind of feels like a parabolic grenade launcher thunk to me. Where's the chain lightning, the lasers that travel in a straight line and burn the enemy, hit scan gunshots, you know, cracks and tremors that travel along the ground each time you fire a bullet and then explode upwards when they get to the enemy, that kind of stuff. Visually, I felt like a lot of the weapons were kind of just the exact same thing. Occasionally you'd get something that didn't do that, like the shotgun, but it was very occasional. I liked how ambitious this game is. Like, I get the feeling they couldn't decide what ideas they wanted to put in the game, so they decided they were going to put all the ideas in the game. Fishing minigames, city building, exploration, skateboarding, rail grinding minigames to get from one side of the map to another, mining minigames. There's cat-girl dialogues here. There's bonfire chats with random adventurers that you'll find out in the worlds. There's merchants hidden all over the place. There's guild reputation that every time you kill a monster, it fills up that green meter that I didn't know what it did during the video. And when it gets maxed out, it actually creates paths on the map that make your life easier as the guild rewarding you for killing off monsters and making the world safer. There's a lot of things to work on here. There's a little bit of everything, and I kind of respect the ballsiness of just like full send throwing new stuff into the game willy-nilly, because I felt like a big chunk of it actually hit for me and worked. There's a lot of things to work on, a lot of meters to fill up, and it does a good job making you explore, because otherwise you'll really have no choice. The game gives you no guidance whatsoever except for like find the townsfolk, wander around. The game also has a solid sense of fun and allows the player to become ridiculously overpowered, Risk of Rain 2 style, and I think the power fantasy also plays in its favor. But there are rougher edges to this game that any prospective buyer, I think, needs to be aware of. The collision is really bad, and I've used the unstuck button a bunch of times. I get that it's not possible to get the collision absolutely perfect as a one-man team on a game with a map this large, but you will get stuck places if you're kind of like an aggressive explorer like me. I found walls that you can use your weapon's third dash attack to phase through, when otherwise it just has normal collision. The enemies do it all the time. They seem to be aware of it. Hitboxes for enemies seem to be somewhat okay, but they don't really react to being hit a lot of the time, and the weight of all the attacks in the game could feel better. All the weapons felt really wispy in melee to me. Enemy attacks against me were always incredibly janky in their detection, and actually, they were so janky and inconsistent that it significantly nerfed the difficulty of the game in my favor, because as I mentioned earlier, it felt like 1 in 5 enemy attacks actually plausibly lands, even when it clips straight through my character and it obviously hit me, it still doesn't count. Enemies can also mostly be defeated by just backpedaling and spamming ranged attacks. You're not going to have to diversify your tactics much. Some of the enemies in the game just stayed dormant when I would hit them and never wake up to attack me or path to me, even though I was crushing their brains out. Little things like this are all over the place, and because it's a game about churning through tons of enemies like Risk of Rain, it doesn't register a lot of the time, but when you get into like the 1v1s with enemies where it's clear that this is supposed to be like a tight, responsive Dark Souls style fight, and then half the time the enemy's attacks aren't counting against you, it starts to drag the experience down a little bit. I noticed that little things get thrown out with the bathwater here, so like the XP counter at the top of the screen, it doesn't work properly when it animates. So let's say you kill an enemy and you get 9 XP, it adds 9 XP to the number of XP you've accumulated over the course of this run, but then it does an upward scrolling animation, adds the 9 again, then subtracts the 9 to get back to the original number. And little things like that, I think, are actually kind of the symbol of what's wrong with this game. Amongst the things that are right, it's that this is a game where, like, the big stuff is in there, but the little stuff has kind of been left to tech debt, basically. Like, there's little things like the XP counter all over the place, and those little things start to add up. It's full of little wonky software gore things like that, I guess. I'd like to see smaller zone maps implemented. They could have Fog of War and slowly uncover, like Dark Souls. It could be an item that you have to find on the map somewhere to give you an actual mini-map for exploring a zone and a map that you can use. But the game right now, from what I saw, only has a global map. That's kind of like marginally helpful for giving you like a heading that you need to go in while exploring. But a lot of the local maps are kind of like these pile of spaghetti paths that you need to explore that all loop back on each other and go in circles. And since the exploration is mandatory, it's virtually guaranteed that sometimes you're going to end up walking in circles, trying to figure out what branch of the path you missed that allows you to advance through a zone, or to solve a puzzle, or to find a boss. And that time down right there kind of disrupts the flow of monster churning. And so anyways, this is going kind of long. All in all, I'd say that this is one of those games that is compelling to the right kind of gaming personality. The sheer volume of things here that they have in the game, and the ambition of adding them all keeps the game afloat if you're kind of like an explorer or a collector in the overall Skinner box model of player types. I think those two types will probably have fun here if they liked Risk of Rain, if they kind of liked wide open, sort of on the like Elden Ring is kind of the same way, where it's open world, but like it's kind of like also a lot of corridors and whatnot. Like, however, if you're the kind of person that wants your games to be mechanically tight, responsive, balanced, well designed across the board, every single mechanic is accounted for, everything is working, everything is fantastic on that end, I think you're probably going to be disappointed. The mechanics here there are mechanics here that are good. They will put a smile on your face. You will have a good time. I know that I did. However, those mechanics are almost universally surrounded by things that are implemented passively or poorly, which will rub a certain type of player the wrong way. For me, I think the exploration, item collection, and character growth was compelling enough that it didn't drive me up a wall. Like, I was definitely able to identify that there was a lot of jank here, but those three aspects allowed me to enjoy the experiences more than the sum of its parts. But what you need to keep in mind here is that I also got this game for free from the developer, so I don't have any financial skin in the game, and that's always a point to remember with channels like mine. The game is currently up for grabs at $20 for a copy, and I think this is going to be one of those games that I compare to a Piranha Bytes title. It's ambitious, it's got a lot of things in it, it's going to work well for the previously specified type of player that just wants to wander and take in impressive sights while annihilating monsters with very little difficulty. However, I think people who are easily irked by a lack of guidance, a ton of janky rough edges in nearly every corner of the game, and unreliable hitboxes on the player that make combat much too easy, I think they'll probably want to skip and tap out or wait until the game is further along in development. But like, this game is so large in scale that I couldn't even guarantee that that stuff will ever be fixed. Like, this is a game made by one guy that has got a lot of things going on. Hopefully this helped out. I don't feel like this was a very good closing thoughts on my part. I did my best here with the couple hours that I spent with the game, but at a certain point, you've got to admit that you've played too much, and now it's going to have to be a formalized review, and I still wanted to keep it inside the ballpark of impressions. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so that you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we were screwing around with a game called Holomento. Tomorrow we'll be playing something else. Thank you for spending your time with me, and that's about all I've got for you. Thank you for the luxury of your attention, and I will be back tomorrow.